Good afternoon. I'm Wyatt Emmerich. I'm here on behalf of the Bigger Pie Forum. I've got Liz and Bill Brister here, longtime Jackson residents, and we're going to talk a lot about downtown and how we get a vibrant downtown. Liz is the head CEO, I don't know what you call it these days, whatever, of Downtown Partners. And a lot of people in the community are real excited about that because Liz is a mover and shaker. And we're just going to dive right in and address the issue of downtown Jackson and how we turn it into something that everybody wants to come and be part of. So let's start off. Let's talk about you two and, why you decided to stay in Jackson, how you came to Jackson, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll start off. I'm from Brookhaven, Mississippi. That's where I was raised. I went to Southern Miss to college, 2 degrees from there. Then I went to the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville to get my PhD. And that's where I met Liz. And when I finished my degree there, I, of course, was looking for a job. And I got a job at Millsaps, which was wonderful. It's the job I wanted. So it's kind of like coming home, pretty close to home. And so we came to Jackson for my job. I brought her here. I always say kicking and screaming because it wasn't.
I didn't think I would spend.
So you're not a native
life
Mississippian.
Here. No, I'm
okay.
from Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I said, where do you want to live? She said, I don't know, New York, Paris. And I said, what about Jackson, Mississippi? And she said, let's go see it. Let's go check it out. So I brought her down here, and interestingly, I wanted to impress her. I wanted her to be impressed with Jackson. First place we went was Howlin' Mouse. So I said, you'll get a dose of Jackson, Mississippi.
I was there for lunch.
And it worked. And she stayed, and we've been here 37 years. That was in 1989.
And y'all live where?
We live in Fondren, in the north part of Fondren, formerly known as the top of Fondren or Broad Meadow. Now they call it Fondren North, but an area between Meadowbrook and Northside Drive, in a house that we outgrew a very long time ago. But we love our community and have really been committed to that. And that's probably part of the story of how I ended up working in downtown. But we've really been love our neighborhood, love our neighbors, and we've been leaders there. So that's how it all started. Great.
Jenny and I live in LoHo. We're also Northsiders.
Yes.
We live in the Jackson city limits. LoHo used to be Leftover. It got rebranded. Somehow someone in our neighborhood association decided Leftover didn't sound very good.
Well, yeah.
So we became LoHo, after Soho, which stands for south of Houston.
Yep.
But LoHo, there is no south of Ho or anything. There's just at any rate.
I always wonder, what does it stand for?
It doesn't stand for much of it.
Anything.
You can kind of get a connection between Leftover and LoHo, kind of if you stretch your mind, But so we certainly understand the love of living in the city and an urban environment. And quite frankly, I love its diversity. That's one of our factors. We like to go to Aladdin, and it's just, you really feel like you have a diverse, it's not boring, it's exciting. And so glad to hear it. And now Fondren is booming. Of course, I guess is Fondren in your domain as with Jackson Partners? I guess it is
not. I mean, it's where I live. So,
Right.
and I've served on the Fondren board, and that's, again, probably some of the experience that led me to working on the downtown issues. But no, downtown is downtown.
Right. So let's talk about that. One of the things that I think Liz and I have discussed in the past is you have to have a critical mass of people living in Jackson, and that's critical. And I think right now we have about 800, and Liz has put forth the idea that 2,000 is the magic number. Explain that to me.
Well, it comes from some people who've been working on this longer than I have, and also from a recent trip that I made with a board member to Mobile, Alabama. We went there to look at their downtown business district, and it's different. Mobile is definitely different than Jackson, but it feels more vibrant. It feels more robust, and you have the grocery store, you have a number of breweries, you have more restaurants, you even have some retail shops in downtown Mobile. And we started asking, well, how many people live in downtown Mobile? And it was only a little over 1,000, which surprised me because it felt like it was a lot more than that.
Right.
But I was like, okay, well, we're close to some tipping point that's going to make a difference. But certainly Jackson does have a different demographic. Our buildings are different, than Mobile, which has more of that kind of French Quarter look to it, or smaller buildings. So for us, and especially based on the number of vacancies that we have in some of our downtown buildings, we feel like 2,000, double that Mobile number, will really start to feel vibrant and robust and fill up some of our buildings based on current occupancies.
And I calculate that to be about 5 residential high-rises or so, which is doable. Yeah. Now, it's going to take some incentive and some help from the state, but what I don't understand is why the state leadership feels perfectly happy to put hundreds of millions in subsidies into a big box manufacturing facility, which may be obsolete in a few years, and they won't put a little money into downtown Jackson, which could change the whole tenor of downtown Jackson forever. And why is that? Why are the state leaders so interested in manufacturing, and why is it so hard to get everybody on board to support the state? Although this is changing, right?
I was going to say, we're on the eve of the legislative session.
Right.
So it's like, I'm going to throw the optimism out there and say they are going to support
that would be great.
Things.
I mean, it wouldn't take that much. I mean, if you look at, what went into the data centers or the tire plant, or, roughly, I did some calculations, and $100 million could probably get 5 residential high-rises off the ground in downtown Jackson. Now, in the scheme of subsidy manufacturing plants, $100 million is not a lot of money. No. I think probably the Amazon's probably going to be close to $1 billion, by the time it's all over with the subsidies. So, so let's talk about the state leadership and how they seem to be coming around. And, for a long time, it kind of seemed like it was like, we don't care about Jackson. Let it crash and burn. But right. I think that's changing now, right?
Well, and I think part of that is tied to our success as a state. And Bill, I know you've looked at this a lot, but the population loss issue, we are hemorrhaging people out of the state. Last year, in 2024, not 2025, Mississippi was one of 3 states in the country that had population loss. So those are, even though we may have some successes with manufacturing and certain creation of jobs, we're still losing people, which is not a good outcome for our state overall. And I do think people are recognizing that that's a problem. But talk a little bit about the population loss issue, because I think that goes to the heart of why we're starting to get the attention of our state leaders.
Right. Well, just some statistics. 1980, the population of Jackson, not the metro area, but the city of Jackson, was about 200,000 people. Currently, it's about 140,000. So we've lost 60,000 residents in the last 50 or so years, and it's been a steady decline. And of course, that affects schools, that affects businesses, that affects neighborhoods that have been, people have moved out. And it just leads to a lot of problems, including vacant houses, blight, and that sort of thing. So the population loss may be a symptom of other problems, but it has caused a lot of other problems in Jackson too. I think it's stabilized, and I think it's going to start growing. And that's one of the things I think Liz and our new mayor, who is also very well thought of at the state level, they're going to have to work on getting residents back into Jackson and getting businesses, both opening new retail type businesses and getting law firms and other type businesses like that to rent office space downtown. So we got to turn that population loss around.
Forever, we blame this on white flight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as we all know, Jackson's been 85% African American for a long time. And the population loss is even greater now. So this is not white flight. It's just flight, you know. And I think part of the problem is that the houses in Jackson are older because Jackson developed first before the suburbs. So you have a lot of older houses, and older houses are very expensive to maintain. And sometimes it's just easier to move to the suburbs where you have a better chance of property appreciation and getting a return on your investment. Right. And you don't have the maintenance that you might have. And so I think a lot of the problem just stems from the fact that houses get old and people after a point don't want to live in old houses. So you have this problem where you have large swaths of Jackson with dilapidated old houses. It's not economical to refurbish them in many cases. So what you've got to do basically is have a developer come in and basically take a large area, buy everything out, tear everything down, and start over with newer homes. Is that something that can happen?
Let me take that. I'm going to brag on Liz here a little bit. In our neighborhood, in the north part of Fondren, we had a lot of vacant houses, as you were describing, uninhabitable, many of them. And we bought them. And we've, 15, 16 houses in the last 3 years or so. We buy them. We fix them up. I mean, top of the line.
And that's affordable. You can do that.
You can buy these houses that are uninhabitable for not a lot of money.
Right. So that leaves you more money to basically rebuild.
In a good bit of money. Liz puts in a lot of money to make them very, very nice. And then we sell them. And we sell them to homeowners. That's the big deal. We were trying to get young, middle income type homeowners back in our neighborhood. She's fixed up maybe 15, 16 houses within a half mile of our house over the years, and it's turned the neighborhood around. So it is affordable.
So it can be done.
It can be done.
I do the stew pot thing, not the stew pot, Meals on Wheels. And we go and deliver in West Jackson. And there's some streets where I don't think those houses are salvageable. You know, we go down streets where maybe 1 out of 3 houses is occupied and the other ones are just falling in. What do you do? What do you do with an area like that?
I think most of the houses, especially some in West Jackson, you have some beautiful craftsman houses that are built out there around the Jackson State area that probably do have possibility for renovation. But to your point, we have areas of the city that are blighted and are going to take a lot of investment to bring them back and maybe have to infill with new construction. But I'm going to kind of turn that towards downtown because I do think that's possible downtown. And perhaps that's where you start is in the city, core, the heart of our city, which is downtown.
Right. Because if that's vibrant, then it makes it more attractive to develop the inner city surrounding the downtown.
And you have more density. I mean, you've got the ability to take, like you said, a high-rise building and a couple hundred people or 300 people move into that building. So it starts to build back density and population. And also, for the state's interest in downtown, we know that population right now is moving towards urban centers. Younger generations want to live in a city.
Right, which makes the decline of the population in Jackson such a conundrum.
Right. But if we build back an urban center that's exciting and interesting to younger generations, they'll come back to our state. And they may start in Jackson. They may end up in Natchez or Tupelo or somewhere else. But Jackson is the commercial center of our state. It's the largest city in the state, the only one over 100,000.
And right in the middle of the state.
And right in the middle. And it's kind of like, I think that's where you start to rebuild our city and also to rebuild our state as far as the population loss we've experienced as a state. And back to your question about the leaders, I think that's why they're interested. They know this. And even in the metro area where Jackson has lost population to some of the suburb counties, all of those areas are starting to flatten as far as growth. When you look at the metropolitan growth in places like Little Rock or Birmingham, I mean, we're leaving a lot on the table. They're growing in double digits. We're growing our entire metropolitan area 1%. That's not growth. So I think we all have to recognize that Jackson is part of this story and Jackson is the solution. It is the solution to many of our state's issues.
I mean, you look at Nashville and Austin. I mean, every young person wants to go there
Right.
because they're vibrant and they're cool. And so I look at it like football recruiting. If you want the best football players, you got to have a great stadium and really fine locker rooms and, a good campus. If you want bright young people to come back to Mississippi, you got to give them what they want. And they want a cool, vibrant downtown with coffee shops and cool bars and nighttime venues and a cool street to hang out and walk around on. And if we give that to them, they will come. If we don't give it to them, they're going to go to Nashville and Austin and have this huge brain drain. And if we can bring those people in, like you said, it turns the state around. Now, let's talk about some of the big buildings that are being acquired by, what's his name? I've forgotten.
Kumar Bhavanasi.
Yeah, and we're really excited about that because as we all know from COVID, office space has changed. It used to be you had to go to the office because that's where the computer was. And you had to have the computer to do the work. So you had to be there where the network was. Well, we all know that's changed with the smartphone. You can work anywhere and Zoom and all that, and COVID proved. And so now you have this huge glut in office space. And you see this going on in New York, especially,
Right.
where huge office, 50-story office buildings are being transformed into residential units and they're profitable. So let's talk about Kumar and what he's doing and what that means for Jackson.
Well, and newsflash, he just bought the old Marriott.
Wow.
So he is definitely becoming a significant player in our renaissance, our revitalization of downtown Jackson.
So how many buildings is that? I know the old Regions, right?
Regions Plaza and the Pinnacle Building, which is
Right.
the newest building in downtown and one of the newer buildings in the state, office space. He bought the old Deposit Guarantee Building, and that's going to be a major residential conversion project. Last week, he bought the Electric Building, which is already partially residential, partially office space, and now the Marriott Hotel.
Wow.
So,
5.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is really a news flash. I haven't even quite absorbed all this yet.
Great.
But, we found out today he is the buyer of the Marriott.
So is this plan to do everything residential in these buildings, or we don't know?
No, I think he's, Regions and Pinnacle, he's certainly continuing to try to recruit, Class A office
Right.
tenants and having some success there. These are nice office buildings and
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, beautiful spaces. And the Regions Plaza was actually already mostly occupied, one of the more robust office buildings in downtown as far as occupancy rates. So that one we're, maintaining. Pinnacle, he's trying to regrow some of the law firm that we lost through the years to the suburbs. But they're beautiful spaces. He's putting a lot of money and security and restaurant amenities. We have a new coffee shop in Regions Plaza. I'm working really closely with Kumar to bring that kind of excitement that people want in a downtown. He's really easy to work with. And I'm assuming that the Marriott, he says hotel space in the article I just read, but it's perfect for residential conversion and maybe even some combination of hotel and residential. But between the old Deposit Guarantee Building, which is going to be a residential project, and then potentially the Marriott, we're going to start getting closer to that 2,000 figure that we need in downtown. So it's an exciting day.
So, so we've already got a private market initiative here. If we could just get the state leaders to, to go in, I think this is achievable. We hit 2,000 and then, suddenly, we start to grow. And like I said, because Jackson is clear, there are other, like Louisiana has Baton Rouge, they've got Shreveport, they've got New Orleans. Jackson just has Jackson. I mean, you've got Biloxi, but that's on one very extreme end of the state. Jackson is the capital. When people fly into the airport, they're going to want to see what Jackson looks like. If it's vibrant and teeming, they go away with a great impression. If we want to change the perception of this state, we've got to have a great downtown. Now, it's my understanding that the residential that's here now has done pretty well. Is that right? Can we talk a little bit about that?
It is absolutely the truth. The buildings we have downtown that are currently residential are full. They just are. I mean, they may have a vacancy because of a move in, move
Right.
out, But the courthouse, which is a residential conversion across from Trustmark Bank, it used to be the old federal courthouse. Went in there the other day. They have 102, 103 units. 97 of them are leased. And they're like, and we don't really have any availability, which means the other ones, they already have applications for.
Right.
So, and that's just one indication. But yes, our downtown spaces are full. There's more supply. I mean, there's more demand than supply, right? Did I get that right?
Okay, now for all the Jackson doomsayers out there who think Jackson's going to crash and burn and there's no hope, it's a sellout for residential space, right, in downtown Jackson. So, that should be an indication of hope and progress. And like you say, look around. Birmingham's done it. Mobile's done it. Memphis has a vibrant downtown. This can be done. And all those cities were grappling with the same sort of problems that Jackson had. And now we've got a private developer. I think he's from the tech sector. So hopefully he has lots of money. And then, we've got the Capitol Police in there. And so let's talk about the Capital Improvement District and what part they play in the revitalization of downtown. Because, now we got 2 police forces. You combine the numbers, you're looking at, a pretty hefty police force now.
Right. Security is not one of our problems. It's really not. Jackson has had a lot of challenges that cities all over America have. We aren't unique in some way, but our leadership here, especially the state leadership, you were asking about that earlier, they really helped Jackson. And when I talk to other city leaders around the country that do what I do, the downtown people, they go, how did you do that? You've got Jackson Police Force and a state police force. They put all this money into water and roads and infrastructure. How do we buy into that? We need this.
Well, the water was kind of lagniappe. We had to go through some crisis
really
to get the water
times.
money.
That's true. We did. This is true. But my point is, things are lining up for Jackson to be successful. And our state has invested a lot through the CCID, and we are getting new roads and we are getting new infrastructure. We have had a significant overhaul of our water system. And water systems in cities are old all over the country and falling apart and having problems. And if anything, our crisis kind of got us in line early to get help with this issue. So I do think that Jackson, and in particular the Capitol Police, have been a game changer for downtown. Downtown in particular is one of the safer areas in the city as far as just crime that happens, in part because it's still mostly a day community and people leave at night except for the residents who are living down there. But it's a safe area, and the CCID has been a great benefit to that. And where we live in Fondren, we have it too. So I see its impact all over the city. Now, downtown, we want more of that share. We really want the CCID to be focused on that capital district, but it's good for the whole city, and it's been really helpful. And with our new mayor, we're also very optimistic about the future just of Jackson Police and all of our city functions. It's going to take some time to rebuild, decades of neglect, but we're in a good place. And I feel like the right team is working on that.
Bill, you're a retired professor of finance. Is this possible?
Well,
from a financial standpoint?
Well, it's a big job. Liz has a big job to do, but the residential being almost 100% occupied, that's an opportunity for an investor to come in there and create residential space. It could pay off because the demand is higher than the supply. Yes, it's possible. There's too many models around of other cities that have done it. We can do it. And there's a lot of good things about downtown Jackson. The museums are excellent, both the History Museum and the Civil Rights Museum and the Art Museum. Oh my gosh, just great museums. Live entertainment all over the place downtown Jackson.
Dueling Hall is one of the best music venues I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable.
It's just the right size. Great bands coming in.
Yes.
Yes. I really could have lived anywhere in the United States, and I lived in New York City for a while, LA. I hate traffic. I hate smog. I hate fighting for a parking spot, and I hate the anonymity. I was looking for the perfect size city that wasn't too big. I didn't want it too big to have traffic, but I wanted it big enough to have what I wanted. Movie theaters, great restaurants. And Jackson has the best independent fine dining restaurants
No doubt.
in the world, maybe. And I will note the pros, when they come for the golf tournament, that's one of their big draws, is they are amazed at how many great independent, non-chain, because it's different, and fine dining establishments. That was a big draw to come into the Sanderson Classic. River Hills is one of the finest tennis facilities in the world, and we have incredible churches, vibrant churches, golf courses. I mean, we've got Annandale, Reunion. What Randy Watkins has done with his courses is phenomenal. Jackson Country Club. It's just the right size.
It is.
There's just one thing we're missing. We need a vibrant, viable downtown. And what I'd like to do, and we need one good street, walking street. If you go to places like Greenville, South Carolina is, to me, the perfect example. It was just in the dumps, and now it's amazing. You walk on Friday night, the stores are open, people are out walking around, it's beautiful. And Charlottesville and all these places have high rises. They have residential high rises. That's what they have, because that creates the people on the street and the clientele for the restaurants and everything. I think we should make we need one good street, and Capitol Street is the
I was
obvious.
hoping you were going to say Capitol Street.
Not Fair Street.
Nothing
Nothing against Fair Street, but Fair Street is way on the. I mean, that's not. It's obviously Capitol Street, and we need to do whatever we need to do to bring in the venues, the coffee shops, the restaurants. May have to subsidize them. It's okay. It's not going to be a lot of money. You create a vibrant walking street where people are hanging out. You turn everything around.
Yeah. Recently, the Folk Festival was in downtown Jackson.
Great event.
I loved it. But you got a feel for what Capitol Street could be.
Right.
Walking them down, we needed more stores and more of everything there. But you could feel that this would work. This would work. This could be a vibrant downtown. And so that was a good thing. Back to the state. What can the state do? They've done a lot for Jackson, I will say. I feel like the state leaders are more friendly to Jackson now. But, about 10 or 15 years ago, I did a study. I was at Millsaps, and I was hired by the state to do a study of office space and moving state employees back downtown. And we found that, yes, there was a lot of vacant office space, and there were a lot of state employees in different agencies outside of Jackson and buildings. And if you moved them all back, it would really help Jackson. And you save money. The state would save money because the rent's cheaper in Jackson right now than it is in other places. So, and I'm not sure if that's still the case, but it was about 10 years ago. So the state could help us there by moving some of their workers back downtown. There's a lot there, but we could use more.
Right. And then we have, UMMC is huge, and then we have colleges, Millsaps, Belhaven, we got JSU, and, it wouldn't be that hard to, JSU's not that far from downtown. If we could develop that corridor and create some vibrancy there, that would be a huge boon. Right. But let's talk about the new mayor, because I think one impediment is we had a mayor that didn't jihad with the state leaders, and that created some conflict. So I get the feeling that situation's changed for the better.
I definitely think this is a moment for Jackson, and we better seize it. But of course, current mayor was state senator. He's very well known. He knows how to work the legislature. He has friends in the legislature on both sides of the aisle. I mean, I feel like it's been he's received an overwhelmingly warm reception in his role, and I think people are legitimately cheering him on and want to see him be successful. I mean, you've covered politics long enough to know that probably won't last forever. So this is an important year, and we are on the eve of a session that I think starts tomorrow, actually.
I heard Delbert Hoseman speak at Allen Mal's. It starts tomorrow.
Yeah, and I do hope this is going to be a unique session for Jackson. And I also know that if you live in other parts of the state, you may be tired and of hearing about Jackson and about Jackson getting things that maybe aren't coming to some of the other communities. I think all the communities are important, but I do think Jackson is the heart of our state, and I think that it's worth investing in. And we also need, we hadn't really talked about this yet, but we need people to be more positive about Jackson. Just the negative perception of our city and some of the, I call it the fear and loathing of Jackson.
Why is that? Why do some people just seem to take glee in poking their finger at Jackson? Why is that?
I don't know, but we've got to turn it around. I think we've all got to get on the same page and, sing from the same hymn book and really try to support our capital city, which is the seat of our government, so that our entire state can prosper. I do believe that. I think our current mayor has that kind of outlook. I think he has great relationships with some of his suburban mayor counterparts and legislators from all over the state. So he knows the importance of all these communities, but that Jackson plays a unique role. We are the capital city. We're the only big city in this state, like you said. And we need that to be healthy, to attract our young people and to keep the brain drain. Bill's a retired professor, but one of the most daunting statistics I've seen recently is that almost half of our college-educated population, when they graduate from college with a bachelor's degree or higher, are leaving our state.
Yeah, we got to stop that.
We got to stop that. And it's like, come on, everybody, let's get on the Jackson train and just try this. Let's see if we can have a vibrant urban center that will attract these younger people and provide more job and career opportunities. And they might be willing to stick around and go back to their hometown in some other part of the state one day.
Well, I hate to bring up football, but we are getting excited about the playoff semifinals where Ole Miss is one of 4, and that didn't just happen. Somebody had to put some money into it. Somebody had to renovate the stadium. Somebody had to put a lot of money in the luxury locker rooms, NIL money. That didn't happen by accident, all right? People put money in it. They had an objective. They wanted a winning football team, and it worked, right? So if you want the same thing for Jackson, you got to do the same thing. You got to put the money into it and make it happen. But if you do it, it will work. And it's not a pipe dream, because we've seen it happen again and again in other southern cities that were in a state of disrepair, and they've turned it around. So it can happen. And, maybe we'll get it going this time around. Let's talk about one of the development issues has always been the One Lake plan, and because you could add a canal or a river, where is that? What's the status of that? I mean, it's just forever going to be 1 year away. What you have an update on that?
I hope it's maybe 1 week away. I don't know, but I do think it's much closer than 1 year away. I certainly hope so. I've felt like that it's imminent, and we are going to hear about this any day now. It's as close as it's ever been. And to your point, we got to get it across the finish line. It's time. It's like the last part of the fourth quarter, and it's time for this project to succeed. And it's going to be awesome for Jackson. We are going to have our waterfront development opportunity.
Right.
Like, This is a big moment for Jackson. And when you look at other cities that have developed around waterfronts, it's a new place for people to invest and build new buildings. And I think it can be wonderful for Jackson. And I hope it's soon.
Well, Lieutenant Governor Hostman was speaking at Howland Mouse and just going on about how many good things are happening in the state. We've balanced the budget, the debt's down, we've fully funded education, just all these good things. And and I think that there's some positive economic figures coming out recently about Mississippi GDP and the reading scores. Last year or two, it looks like things are getting better. So maybe this might be the time that we can, have a great downtown. Tell me some of the other organizations. I know it's not just Downtown Partners. wish I could name the other organizations. Their name slips me, but there's several really good organizations out there. And let's talk about them and how y'all coordinate and who does what and how does that work?
Sure. Visit Jackson is one of our partners. They are the tourism arm for the city, and they're working really hard. And as Bill mentioned earlier, we have some of the best museums that you will visit anywhere in the country. And we have a planetarium that'll be opening next year, $23 million renovation. It
Wow.
keeps going up and up and up. So we're going to have one of the best planetariums in the country, in North America. So Visit Jackson plays a really important role. They've just taken over Thalia Mara's management too. So we all know Thalia Mara is reopening. That's exciting. So they're a really key partner in how we work together for this moment that we're having. Jackson Redevelopment Authority. They own a lot of properties in downtown, and they help develop. They're working certainly on the Fair Street area, and we hope that we've got some leadership there, that something's going to develop after years of studies and consultants and all kinds of things. I think there's some positive momentum for Fair Street as well. The Chamber, Greater Jackson Chamber Partnership, is in downtown, and we all meet together once a month, and we talk about what the opportunities are and how each of us can kind of line up our pieces of that puzzle and work together. We've done a lot of not working together in this city in the past, and I do think for us to achieve this greatness that we're all seeking, to be like some of these other cities that have had their renaissance, we have to work together. And we also have to get behind the city leadership and support what their priorities are. So I think we're seeing some of that happen. Jackson Rising. Oh my gosh, I didn't mention Jackson
I just
Rising.
read that report.
Yeah.
I mean, they're proposing $200 million. Where's that money going to come from? That's impressive.
I hadn't seen the $200 million.
Oh, I added it all up.
I'm not surprised.
I added each category up that. Tell me about Jackson Rising and where that came from and where that's going. And
Sure. And you can give us a little background about Josh McManus. But we've been talking to people who have worked in other cities, Chattanooga, Detroit, and the mayor and some other philanthropists pulled some resources together and created this opportunity for Jackson citizens to work with the mayor on his campaign priorities and promises. And we ended up, I think, with some additional ones from what the mayor started with. We've got 14 priorities now for the city. And Jackson Rising opened an office on Capitol Street.
wow.
Very visible. And they pulled in citizens from all over the city that had expertise in these 14 different areas, things like blight, things like downtown revitalization, things like working on our homelessness problem. And they all came together, and citizens helped contribute to what is essentially a strategic plan for the city. The $200 million, I guess, that it's going to cost to implement it, but it's a strategic plan for the city.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
Josh?
You want to talk about Josh?
Well, I
and who
will.
he
Josh
is?
McManus is an expert, a nationally known expert in urban development. I think he specializes in post-industrial urban development. Maybe doesn't fit Jackson perfectly, that description, but he's very interested in Jackson. He's working in Jackson. I think Jackson Rising.
He helped lead that process.
He's lead that process. He's also going to work with Downtown Jackson Partners and other organizations. He was very instrumental or an important part of the revitalization of Detroit and other cities. So we're happy that Josh is taking an interest in Jackson and is going to be working in Jackson to give us a perspective of a nationally known person and what works and what doesn't work, best practices kind of thing.
well. If he can turn around Detroit, then Jackson should be a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Let's talk about homelessness, because it seems to me that the homeless population gravitates towards the city centers. Not sure exactly why. What can be done about that?
Well, I think, and it's probably true not just in Jackson, but in other cities, there are resources that support the unhoused population in downtown. And that is part of the attraction. You also have transportation, like our train station and bus stations. And that's probably why it feels like there's density of the unhoused population
Right.
downtown, is because of those factors.
Now, the Supreme Court changed the law recently. I know they opened it up, and now homeless got pretty out of control. Now the Supreme Court has said, yeah, you can restrict it some. And then Jackson has a new ordinance for solicitation. You have to get a license. But, I mean, the very nature of homelessness, these are not exactly people who are up on the latest statutes about solicitation in Jackson. Mm-hmm. Is there an organization that manages the homeless and brings all the resources together? And how does that work?
I think there's some really important city leaders working on this issue. Certainly Stu Potts had probably a long and important reputation in this city of serving
and the Salvation Army.
And the Salvation Army. And they do a really great job of serving individuals. Unfortunately, during COVID, nationally, this population grew exponentially, overwhelming some of our local resources. But, you know, back to Jackson Rising and trying to solve these complex problems, I do think we have a roadmap. I think we have a plan. And again, relying on expertise of what other cities are doing that's working. And I guess you could say in part, thanks to the last administration who didn't spend some money that's now available, we have an opportunity to try a housing strategy, a rapid rehousing strategy. And I really hope these individuals that I mentioned, like Stu Pott, Melvin Stamps, there's some other individuals working on this. I hope this is the direction we're going in, that's going to lean into providing housing. And you don't have to build anything. You don't have to go secure land or anything like that. You essentially use real estate that's already available, apartments, and leasing these apartments. And we have some funds available in Jackson to do this. So,
but isn't a lot of the problem with the homeless is they don't want to be told where to go. You know, they want to wander on the streets of Jackson. And, you know, when they probably have places that they can go when they need to. But I mean, part of it is that you can't force people in a free country to go somewhere they don't want to go, right?
Yeah, that's right. That is all true.
So to some extent, homeless is, you know, the flip side of freedom in our country. Mm-hmm. You know, we enjoy freedom. Mm-hmm. And so we might have to just learn to tolerate a certain level of homelessness as long as there's freedom in this country.
I do think when a city is vibrant and when you've got lots of shops and restaurants and coffee bars, and it does seem to be less of the problem that it appears to be now, because our streets are somewhat empty, and so the problem seems to stand out more.
Right.
But I also think that just for the sake of, you know, these people who are living on the street, which is obviously not a healthy or productive way to live, that I hope we can continue to work on this challenge and come up with some solutions. The opportunity is there. We've got a little bit of money in the city, and we've got a plan, and working with this great group out of Houston, Texas called Clutch. They're consulting with cities all over America. And I think we have a chance to do something here in Jackson. Our problem is not nearly as large as what other urban areas are dealing with. So kind of back to Jackson, we've got a lot of right things ready to go. We just need everyone to think positive, to invest in our city, and to come back to our city, because we have solved a lot of problems with security, with, you know, we've got beautiful architecture and buildings downtown, and certainly our cultural resources, our historical resources are downtown.
I think it's a beautiful downtown. It was very accessible. It's a very pretty downtown. And by the way, talking about the suburbs, you know, Renaissance, which I love, in Ridgeland, that was subsidized by the tourism, you know, so, you know, the burbs can't complain too much about the state helping Jackson, because, you know, that was a huge development, and has been wonderful.
Wasn't that Go Zone or something like that? It was.
It's the tourism zone. It was considered a tourist thing, and so they get they get a rebate on like 40% of the sales taxes. So it works for retail developments. But tell me a little bit about your background. So how did you get involved in this?
Well, I think it certainly starts with the fact that I've been what I call a do-gooder, I guess, in Jackson, involved with Fondren. I was on the first Fondren board 1 year after it formed with great community leaders like Governor William Winter, who was on that first board, and he was our neighbor. And just, I think, being involved in the community and having a real passion for it, and even thought about running for some form of office just because I want so
I'd
much.
vote for you.
I want so much to see this city succeed. I mean, it's where we've lived, it's where we've raised our children, and I just can't give it up without a fight. And so I have a feeling that the fact that I kept raising my hand and saying, I want to do something about this, they asked me to come do downtown. So the moral of this story is, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. So that's how it happened, I believe. But
Well, Jenny and I live on a cul-de-sac off Northeast Drive in Loho, and we've never had a single crime incident in all of our years being here. Once a year, me and about 12 guys play what I call free-form frisbee golf through downtown. It's quite a scene. Yeah. It was more interesting when we were young. The police were like, what are these people doing? Now that we're old, they're like, what are these old geezers doing out here throwing frisbee? And we literally go all the way around downtown. It takes about 4 hours, and we end up at fertile ground. But we've never had a crime incident ever in the whole time, and we've been doing this for 30 years now. Yeah. It's really quite a story, and where we live on Rebel Drive, ironically, we go to Covenant Church. It's like we can walk to church, we can walk to River Hills, we can walk to 15, 20 restaurants in, Bravo and Highland Village and all that area. Not that we do, but we could.
We still drive, yes, we do.
But, great tennis facility. It's just, to me, it's ideal place to live. And we've been very happy here. And we love the diversity, quite frankly. Yeah. We love the ethnic restaurants, and, we just like the urban environment, and we find people who have chosen to stay in Jackson are interesting people. They're open-minded people, and we just love it so much. And so I'm just so excited that you're on board and doing this. And is there a specific ask of the legislature right now? I mean, what's your big ask for downtown partners?
Well, again, we're trying to line up behind the city so we can all be on the same page.
Gotcha. So that's
certainly figuring out blight in our city is still one of the priorities of the mayor. And we have some blight downtown. We have some property owners that are sitting on properties that they don't take care of. And
so what do you do? What do you do in that case? And what are you looking for the legislature to help you with to fix that problem?
Well, I mean, certainly with blight, there's an expense of blight removal, which is maybe a little different than downtown. Downtown, we're exploring all kinds of possibilities. Some cities have deployed like a vacancy tax. So if you're going to sit on property and it's blighted and you're not doing anything with it for years, you may have to pay a tax.
Interesting.
That. So, and I'm not saying that's what it is, but we're looking at things like that. Is how do you make it more of an incentive to invest in downtown? But maybe are there some punitive things that need to happen too when property does become blighted and the owners aren't taking care of it and have no plans for it and won't sell it. Mm-hmm. So, but certainly blight infrastructure is still going to continue to be a major priority with our roads and water and things of that nature. So Diamara is still going to be a priority, and there's some exciting plans for arts. And
when you start looking at all the projects, it's almost, it'd take us hours. We haven't even mentioned the walking trail and all the development with that. That's really cool.
It is. And it's going to help connect Jackson State more to downtown. The next leg of the museum trail is going to come downtown and ultimately go out towards Jackson State, which I think is great, pulling the city kind of more together and closer to its core.
Now, one aspect that needs to be done is a walkway over Lakeland, right? So you can connect Northeast Jackson to the museums. Is that going to be a reality anytime soon?
I'm going to say that's not my expertise, but I thought that was already
approved.
Yeah,
well, great.
I thought they were moving forward with that. Well, y'all are going to have to correct me if I'm wrong.
That's really good news. Yeah. So let's talk about the Kumar again. So is he real? I mean,
he's a real person.
I know he's a real person. I mean, I'm really intrigued by him. Have you met him or interacted with him?
Oh, yeah.
What's he like? Tell me, give me some insight.
He's very hands-on, which is really exciting because he meets regularly with local leaders. He meets regularly with our governor. And I think that, in fact, a lot of the local people have encouraged him to just keep investing and working with us. He's open to people's ideas and suggestions. I mean, he's been really open to things I've suggested, and he helped me get the coffee shop, Just Vanilla.
Now, is he Indian heritage?
He is.
I mean, the metro area has a huge Indian population.
Right. It does. And I don't know how connected he is with the local Indian population. I know we've had a few receptions and, tried to introduce.
I know we have 5 or 6 great Indian restaurants. Yeah. As my waistline can attest to.
No, and Kumar loves our restaurants. He loves going to Elvis for breakfast. That's one of his favorites. He loves going to Hal & Mal's for lunch. He hits all the restaurants. And
so he's part of the community.
He
really lives in where? In New Jersey somewhere?
He lives in New Jersey. He has a technology company called First Tech. And I don't know if you know the story of how he got into Jackson.
No, tell me.
He owned a shopping center, a strip center in West Jackson where the Walmart is located off Highway 18.
Okay.
And he was doing well there, and the Pinnacle building went up for auction, our beautiful downtown office, Class A office space building. And someone suggested to him, hey, don't you own something in Jackson? Look at this building. And so he went in and bid on it and got the building. And I may be mixing up my story a little bit because he also bought the old Deposit Guarantee building around the same time. I can't remember which one came first. But it really was because he had a good experience with that shopping center out in West Jackson. That was his entree into our city.
Well, you talked about the way renovation can be affordable is if you have a really low entry cost, meaning you can buy the building at a low price. I mean, these auctions, you can't believe the numbers. I mean,
he's getting
the Deposit Guarantee buildings, what was it, $3 or $4 million? I mean, there are houses in Madison that sell more than a 20-store office building. I mean, that's just nuts.
Right.
The investment comes in then renovating it, getting it ready. But you can get in with a really low price.
So what do you think he has to spend to turn?
Well, it depends on the building, but 10, 20, 30 times what he paid for the building.
Right. So that's where the investment comes in.
That's where the investment comes in. But again, it'll pay off. He's a businessman. He's doing this for profit, I assume. And so, he sees an opportunity here and he's reaching out and grabbing it. And other people maybe need to take a look at Jackson too. There's other properties that could be made into something special. And the entry costs would be pretty low, I think.
Well, it's feast or famine. I mean, once a market becomes hot, the money just
and he's
flows.
He's getting in early. And one of the things he says regularly is how beautiful our city is and how clean our city is.
I agree with him. I think it's a beautiful downtown.
It sometimes takes this outsider to see the jewel that we have, the value that we have. And our governor has recently said publicly, there's money to be made in downtown Jackson. Yeah. And I think that's what Kumar is picking up on.
So the redesign to transition from office to residential, I take it, is really complex. What architect, is he using local people at all? He's got his own people. Do you know who's involved in the design of any of that stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know what are.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, he's working on the old deposit guarantee building with Dale Partners.
Oh, great.
Yeah, definitely.
So he's
local.
using local people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
local. And
wonderful.
like I said, he's so open to feedback and ideas. He's always asking, what do you think about this? Should I do this? Should I
We
not
need to
do
get
this?
him on this
You should. He would be
podcast.
great. You would love. He is delightful. And, we are all real encouraged that he is making this investment in our city. We want others to come along, but we're really excited that he's doing it. He's been a good actor. He's putting a lot of money back in these buildings, and he's helping recruit some good tenants to the building.
Well, we got to get to 2,000. Well, I think that's about an hour's worth. That's good.
That's a long podcast.
What else? Well, some of these go on really long. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you want to say?
Well, I want to go back to the perception of Jackson by people in communities outside of Jackson. Excuse me. I hear people say all the time, "Oh, I'd never come to downtown Jackson. It's dangerous." It's not. Encourage everybody who might hear this to give it a try. Come to downtown Jackson. Come to our restaurants. Come to enjoy our entertainment. Businesses. Give Jackson a look when you're looking for office space. The perception of the danger or whatever, the water, this, that, and other, it's not there anymore. It's a perception that is inaccurate. So I just encourage everybody outside of Jackson to give us a chance. Yeah, you'll be pleasantly surprised, I think.
Yeah, it just takes so long to change perceptions.
Oh, I know.
It does.
But you got to start.
You got to start, and it's again so important. And I think that's the most important thing is if the rest of the state realizes that if the core is rotten, that affects the whole state,
right.
And you're just not going to get off the ground because industrial recruiters, they're going to fly into Jackson, all right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to want to go, let's take a look at downtown Jackson. Right. They're going to drive through I guarantee you, and just check it out. And if it looks vibrant and healthy, they're going to be much more likely to recruit and to locate here. And so, this holier than thou finger pointing, let it just go down in flames is just shooting yourself in the foot.
It's not helpful.
It's not helpful.
Anything or anybody.
And it's not Christian either.
It's not. No, it's definitely not.
It's not
and
Christian.
I had an economic developer tell me recently, these deals are razor thin sometimes, what they come down to. And yes, our state has done a good job. I've got to give credit where credit's due in recruiting some of these deals.
Right.
But what about all the deals we didn't get? What about all the ones that we lost? And they were sometimes lost over what you just described. People don't want to move here. They come to downtown Jackson. They don't see the vibrancy, or, they come to to Jackson first before they go to these other places, and some impression kills the deal.
Yeah.
So we need to put our best foot forward. I think that's the story, is let's all work to put our best foot forward for this city, the capital city of our state, Mississippi's only downtown, and that will help close these deals for all over the state, bringing prosperity to everybody.
To everyone. I mean, I go back to the football analogy. It's like spending all this money on NIL money to recruit people, and they show them a dilapidated stadium and a stinky locker room. They're going to go, I'm not going there. I mean, one reason Lane Kiffin went to LSU is Tiger Stadium. We didn't have Tiger Stadium. So infrastructure matters when you're recruiting, and we are recruiting bright young people. And if we can't recruit bright young people and retain them, it's going to be a much greater struggle to develop economically. As you know, and you pointed out, brain drain is everything. But if you recruit them at a young age, and then they get some roots in Jackson, or maybe they're from Jackson, you keep them here, and then then it helps the suburbs, because eventually they're going to want to get married and have children, and the urban environment is going to be less appealable. They're going to go to Madison or Ridgeland or Rankin County, and it's going to help those areas well. So everybody benefits. Anything else?
That's a good closing line.
Okay, we're gonna close. So, Liz and Bill, I really thank you for being here. It's been a great and interesting Thank you, Bigger Pie, for footing the bill for this, and we're gonna post it on the Emmerich News websites all over the state. And if you want to find out more about Downtown Partners and a laundry list of stuff they're doing. I went to their website and ran out of time. I mean, it's just, you can't believe all the cool stuff they're doing. Go to
downtown-jackson.com.
or just Google Downtown Jackson Partners. It'll get you there.
Downtown Jackson Partners.
It's really worth taking a look. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.